So many financial advisors are standing at a crossroads at this very moment. And the work is getting heavier. The rules are changing. The pressure of running your own business is really, it's there. It's undeniable. It's definitely there. I have these conversations over and over every single week. And it's, for many, I think, starting to feel like a job inside of a job. It's really crazy. And sometimes people think, man, all I want to be is a financial advisor. That's what I want to be. But at the same time, the idea of joining a bigger structure, brings its own questions. Do you sort of make another plan and all of that? So what do you gain? What do you lose? And how do you know whether it is the right move or the wrong one, which it could very well be as well. Today, I'm going to unpack these crossroads, and I'm going to talk to Zeyn Ali. He's here from Feben, and I want to unpack all of this with him and see how do they see these things playing out, but also, what are the lessons learned? When should you, when shouldn't you? How do you know whether you should or shouldn't? Like all that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk to Zeyn about that. Let's start it off for the last time in 2025. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am always worried when the guests come on screen with the intro, whether I got their surnames correct or whether I made a bloody mistake, because I usually do these things on a Thursday evening to get them ready, and then I'm like, did I spell his surname correctly? Like, it's always like that kind of stuff. Anyway, lots of fun behind the scenes which nobody ever sees. But a warm welcome. This is the last episode 40 for season 6. I'm getting confused now between 2025, 2026, season 6. Like all these things are now, there's lots of sixes going around. But looking forward to a good episode this morning. As I said, Zeyn is here. And I really want to talk to him really about from both sides, right? So not only like, why should you join this bigger and why is this and COFI and all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about some of those. And if you've got any questions, please share them with us. But I also want to talk to me like, when is that not a great idea for you? Like, when does it work well and when does it not work well? So there's all sorts of things that we want to unpack, and who knows where that conversation will go. So I'm looking forward to that. But we are joined one last time today by Double Trouble. We did ask last week, please, can we have Double Trouble? We had them once or twice this year, and they are back. Nikki and Lelani are both here, making it a bit of fun, even though they've got such a serious segment, so they're making it a lot of fun. So they are here. We've got Rudolph is here with Money, Meaning and Beyond for the last time this year, and also Kobus here with the Advisor's Path, and today talking about lessons from 2025. So looking forward to that. Lene has got some stuff to say and to share with you one last time this year, and then I'm going to chat to Zeyn. And then we're going to end off the year. So fantastic, right? So one last time for this year. It's not the last time ever. Like, I hope I never have to come and say, this is the last one ever, because then I will freaking cry. But here we go. So good morning, Terence. Warm welcome. Nice to see you. Lelani. She's oral. Like, hello, Lelani. Goeiemorgen. Good morning. Nice to see you. Razan, good morning. Nice to see you as well. Liana, goeiemorgen. Nice to see you. Frederic, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Rudolph also everywhere. Good morning, Rudolph. And online with Heloise. There you go. Good morning, Heloise. Nice to see you as well. Nicholas, goeiemorgen. Thanks for saying hi. Nice to see you. Khaleesi, one last time this year, brother. There you go. Good morning. A beautiful Friday. Francis, goeiemorgen. Hope it's lekker daar in Benoni. Gloria, goeiemorgen. Vuledzani, there we go. Nice to see you as well. Chris, goeiemorgen. Nice to see you. Good stuff. We've got Gary Wilson here. Good morning, Gary. We've got Greg. Good morning, Greg. Nice to see you as well. Rihanna here. Good morning, Rihanna. Thanks for joining us. Andre Steenkamp, goeiemorgen. Lekker. And Graham de Toy, good morning. Nice to see you as well. Lots of the toys, like we are growing in numbers. And then we've got Ryan here as well. Good morning, Ryan. Thanks very much for joining us. Good be trap by fiets, brother. And then Craig, good morning. Nice to see you as well for this one, for the last one for season 6. Righty, ladies and gents, here is Double Trouble, Lelani and Nikki, and the Financial Planning Institute of Southern Africa with the last current affairs for 2025.
Yes, good morning, Francois, and everybody online. And Francois, before we start, we have a very, very special message for you. We love you. All right, so let's get serious. So let's talk about some of the FSCA tribunal cases. Now, every week you'll see I've been sharing tribunal cases where there's one case that was won and one case that was lost. So this week is the same. The Financial Services Tribunal has set aside the debarment of Mr. Bongi Kosi Peter Nyambesi by outsurance and instructed the company to reconsider its decision. Mr. Nyambesi, who worked at outsurance since 2008 as an insurance broker, managed overseeing 17 brokers, resigned in April 2025 after facing allegations of dishonesty, policy manipulation, and contravention of the company's policies. Outsurance subsequently debarred him, arguing that he no longer meets the phase fit and proper requirements. However, the tribunal, during the tribunal hearing, there were significant factual disputes. Particularly, the following policies were reinstated without consent. There was a factual dispute. There was fictitious customers, again a factual dispute, and the gift and monetary policy and contributions were improper, and that was also a factual dispute. Now, Mr. Nyambesi argued that all client consents was obtained telephonically via recorded lines, and that outsurance failed to retrieve or present those recordings as evidence. The tribunal found that critical evidence was missing and that the company had not properly considered the available information. So the key outcome is that the tribunal held that outsurance could not have been satisfied that the debarment was actually justified. So the key takeaway here is that the debarment is very serious and must be based on fully evaluated facts and not assumptions or unresolved disputes or even matters that should have been dealt via the relevant labor regulations. Now, the second case is where the tribunal actually upheld a 12-year debarment of Mr. Atish Ramnath by the FSCA themselves, finding no grounds to reduce or overturn the decision. So this is where Mr. Ramnath, an Old Mutual financial advisor from 2015 until his resignation, faced debarment following an internal forensics investigation. Evidence revealed he was involved in unauthorized copying and sharing of client information, unapproved client communication, and dealings with unsigned documentation, allegedly as part of a coordinated effort with two other colleagues who also resigned simultaneously. Key findings: he did not dispute the breaches, instead offered innocent explanations, which the tribunal found improbable and unacceptable. He alleged Old Mutual acted maliciously and that the FSA should have relied on the investigation, should not have relied on the investigation. And then the tribunal ruled that the misconduct breached of dishonesty, integrity, and good standing, which are core to the fit and proper requirements, should actually stand. So if we look at the 12-year debarment, Mr. Ramnath represented personal circumstances and testimonials, but failed to address the severity of his actions. And then a very important part, he showed absolutely no remorse, and he actually prioritized his own interest over the customer protection. So the tribunal then ruled that the 12-year debarment will stand. And a strong reminder, again, protecting clients' information and upholding integrity are non-negotiable. Then very quickly, in closing from me, before I give over to Trouble, there is some public warnings around, first, fraudsters impersonating Visio Fund Management and one of their former employees, Tasnim Meyer, with regards to Bitcoin-related investments. Now, neither Visio nor Meyer is involved. And then a second case is where there's a Mr. Sele, also known as Mr. Zungu, who is accused of misusing the FSP number of TSB Securities in the name of Tebe Investment Corporation. Sele is not authorized, and of course, the parties denied that they are involved either. So the FSA urges the public to verify all financial services providers. Nikki, over to you.
Thank you. And I don't know if it's better to be double or trouble, but we'll figure that out.
I'll double your length.
Information regulator has escalated enforcement of the PIA Act. That's the Promotion of Access to Information Act. Now, we hear a lot about PIA and COFI and all of the others, but PIA sometimes doesn't get the attention it needs. But what is happening, that there are several non-compliant information officers that were referred to the SAPS, the South African Police Service, marking a major shift towards personal accountability. So key enforcement actions were announced by the regulator on the 13th of November. The RTMC failed to comply with an enforcement notice to release fee-related records that OUTA requested, and its information officer now faces criminal investigation. Listen to this, criminal investigation in the personal capacity. Then it's also journalist Peter Louis Mayberg who requested information from the State Security Agency, and they ignored an order to disclose financial records. A criminal case was opened against its former acting DG. Kudung Communal Property Association failed to provide governance and financial records. The referral to the SAPS is underway. The regulator has also ordered SARS to release former President Jacob Zuma's tax record following a constitutional court ruling. And SARS previously rejected the PI request, but must now disclose the documents. I think what is very important in this case is that PIA compliance, even 25 years after it came into effect, remains very, very poor. And that the people who are responsible for PIA in each company really has to take heed of this. As the information regulator is now done, no longer issuing warnings, it is pressing criminal charges. Transparency and compliance are no longer optional. This is actually good news, I think, for a country where we sometimes struggle with getting into action when something goes wrong. And then my last comment is, I hope everybody would have seen this, but the South African Reserve Bank has cut the repo rate by 25 basis points to a 6.75% on Thursday, and this brings the prime lending rate for commercial banks to 10.25. Sorry, markets were actually divided.
I know what you did. 2 plus 5 is 7. So
exactly. Thank you. 10.25. Thank you. Markets were divided ahead of the announcement following the rise in October inflation to 3.6%, which is actually outside the SARB's newly adopted 3% target. And this rate comes amid improved economic sentiment, supported by stronger revenue for National Treasury, an S&P Global upgrade, and South Africa's exit from the FATF's grey lists. And that's a wrap. Thank you for your support over the year.
Yeah, thank you, Finale of PROpulsion, everybody online. Thank you for your support, and maybe quick updates from the FBI. Please be on the lookout for annual refresher that will open for March next year. I always say to Nikki and the team at FBI, we don't gear down, we gear up. So we are already busy with annual refresher. Have a look for the events that will open for next year. And on the 1st of December, sorry, Nikki, there will be a press release from the FBI side where we will announce our brand new vision and mission statement.
And then also, if you are an FBI member, annual renewal is open. And if you renew before the end of the year, you still get an early bird discount.
And then maybe in a wrap from my side, remember when you do your AMD, which is your annual declaration that you fill in, please read the questions very carefully, because the moment you answer a no to one of those questions, it does trigger a Conduct and Ethics Committee investigation and query. And we've seen that some of the members read the questions too quick, and then by accident you answer no, and then you've got the CEC contacting you to say, why did you say no? So thank you very much, Francois. Again, we
double trouble.
Love you. Blessings. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Love having you guys on the show, you ladies on the show. It's amazing. And every week is really so valuable. And thank you for all the time. It's been since season 2. So it's been a long time. So thank you very much for all of that. Righty. So, ladies and gents, here is Rudolf one last time. And Rudolf today just talking about money, meaning, and beyond. So here's Rudolf.
Well, good morning. It's wonderful to be back. And can you believe it? We've reached the end of season 6. 2025 is pretty much at its end. You would have seen Lilani and Nikki bringing the Christmas spirit with Boney M playing in all the shops. And there's just deals on every online platform that you can find. And as I was preparing for this final session of Money, Meaning and Beyond, I thought to myself, okay, well, this is my 10th segment for the year. And 9 of them have been spoken in a whole different level of perspectives, and 7 of them focused on the client, 2 of them focused on us as personal financial planning professionals. And the 2 that I spoke about from our perspective, or focusing on the planner professional, has been around our own well-being and how we take time out to look after ourselves because of the pressure that we take on. And the other one was about burnout. And I thought, you know what, for the last session, I mean, I'd love to just do a quick recap of everything that we covered for the clients. And if you cast your mind back to, I think it was March this year, I started my segment with the story of Rose, a story told to me by Rob McDonald in his book and in the coaching course. And what I so love about that story is just the best starting point for us as financial planners, client first. And as we journey with clients, it's all about, well, how do we actually take them on this journey of personal growth and increased well-being, and how we grapple with them as they go through life transitions. And as they go through those changing phases of life and seasons of life, you would find clients sometimes being in that away state. So I shared with you the SCARF model and how we can utilize that to lock clients into the conversation, and how we can focus on the 2 sides of money, not just on the technical muscle that we flex, but also on how we take clients on this personal journey. We even did that personal values assessment. So I think we went through so much in this season, and I absolutely loved every single session with you. But what now? Like, how do we end season 6? How do I wrap up Money, Meaning and Beyond in a way that actually makes a difference? And it came to me this morning. Contentment and gratitude. Having a sense of gratitude for a whole host of things is probably the biggest and most amazing posture that we can have as business owners and financial planners. Gratitude for the fact that we get to do what we get to do. We're able to make a difference. We get paid to make a difference. The gratitude for the level of flexibility that we have. The gratitude to our clients for trusting us. And then the gratitude for our community. So, Francois, I don't know what you're doing in the studio, but would you mind coming onto screen, unless you shot out for a coffee? But if you can come back onto screen, I'd really appreciate that. So, we didn't rehearse this at all. Francois was probably scene changing at the moment, so I interrupted his scene change. But Francois, just from my side, and I speak for the entire Propulsion community, everyone online and everybody that's not online, we are grateful to you and to Propulsion and to the platform and the community that you've created, because we are all better together. And the way that you are intentional with connecting people to people and people to purpose in their businesses is absolutely phenomenal. And I don't think we would have been where we are today as a community of financial planning professionals without your constant input, how you are calling the best out of us and encouraging us to dig deeper into our purpose and into the impact that we make within the lives of our clients, and how you equip us with not just the hard skills, but also with the soft skills of why we should be pushing ourselves and our businesses forward for greater impact. So what you do in front of the camera, but also behind the scenes, is not lost on us. And for a season finale, I think it's just as important that we celebrate how far the show's come in the last 6 seasons, but also how far you've come and the impact that you make on us. So Francois, thank you. We appreciate you and everything that you do and the team does for us. And we can't wait for season 7 to kick off in the new year. And we can't we can't wait to see everything that Propulsion is going to do in the new year. So we thank you.
Thank you very much, Rudolf. Bye, Donkey.
Okay. Have a wonderful rest of the episode, everybody. There's going to be a wonderful conversation with Zeyn a bit later on. There is still one more segment to go. Kobus is going to share with us his final thoughts on the advisor's path, and then have the absolute best end of year time before you say goodbye to the year, before you say goodbye to the show. Do me a favor. Pick up your phone, because I know it's in everybody's hand. Go and open WhatsApp. Choose one person, whether within the Propulsion community or elsewhere, and send them a message this morning saying, thank you for who you are and for what you do in my life. I appreciate you. Nothing like a bit of gratitude to the people in our lives. Have a wonderful rest of the day, everybody.
Oh, let me just see what's going on now. I don't. Oh, it was Rudolf was there, and then I must go on. There you go. See now, Rudolf, you confused my whole process. But thank you so much. Really appreciate that. It's really, really, yeah, very much appreciated. Righty. So next up we have Kobus and finishing off the year with his Advisor's Path segment. And today, looking back at the lessons of 2025. So looking forward to the last one from Kobus.
I thought I couldn't let Double Trouble steal the show. So I had to do some looking cool stuff as well, Francois. In any case, I won't be as good as them, most probably. They are too good. Let me thank you first, Francois, for giving me the space again on your show for 2025. It has been a meaningful year. And as we reach this final Advisor Path segment for 2025, I want to step back and reflect on what this profession has demanded from us and what it has given us in return. All year, we have walked through themes that sit at the heart of great advice. We spoke about the discipline needed to build a practice that stands firm through uncertainty. We explored how professionalism is not something we perform, but something we live every day in a quiet work that no one sees. We looked at the journey from transactional advice to stewardship, where the advisor becomes a lifelong guide, not a once-off product technician, and where the client experience is transformational. We spend time on trust, because trust is not created by good intentions. It is created through consistency, clarity, honesty, and showing up exactly the same way, whether markets are kind or cruel. Throughout the year, Francois, we went back to the foundations. Our clients do not come to us looking for forecasts. They come to us looking for confidence, leadership, and direction when the world feels noisy. I said many times that your planning must become the voice of calm in a world that is always shouting. Nothing about this year changed that message. We also delved into the power of process. A practice without a process eventually becomes a practice without purpose. Your discipline protects your clients and your systems protect you. When you build a practice that runs well, it frees you to be present, to listen deeply, to think clearly, and to guide with intention. Technology took center stage this year too. I love it. I encourage advisors to embrace AI not as a threat, but as a partner that strengthens our human work. The real disruption is not AI itself, but the advisor who refuses to evolve. The advisor path was built on the idea that technology should amplify wisdom, not replace it. It should make us faster, not careless. It should make us sharper, not distant. Use well technology expands the time we have available for the conversations that build relationships, change behavior, and shape futures. We also spoke about resilience. This year demanded resilience in many ways. Markets were unpredictable, reforms were ongoing, and clients are anxious. Yet advisors who are held to their discipline, who stuck to long-term thinking, who communicated regularly and authentically, has strengthened their client relationships more this year than in any easy year. Difficulty grows trust faster than comfort ever will. A constant thread in every segment was purpose. The profession gives us the privilege of walking with people at the most vulnerable moments. There's nothing transactional about that. It requires empathy, simplicity, and the courage to tell clients what they need to hear, even when it's not what they hope to hear. Good advice protects families long after we are gone. It shapes legacies quietly, steadily, and faithfully. This is not a job, my friends. It is a noble calling. As we close the year, I want to leave you with 3 thoughts. First, never underestimate the power of consistency. You do not need to be perfect, but you must be steady. Clients follow consistency more than they follow brilliance. Second, invest in yourself as you invest for your clients. Your health, your learnings, your relationships, and your professional discipline are part of your practice equity. Third, remember that the work you do matters. A well-structured plan, a clear explanation, a moment of honesty, a conversation offered at just the right time can change the entire directions of a family's financial life. That is powerful responsibility and a privilege reserved for few professionals. As I close my final advisor path for 2025, I want to thank every advisor who tuned in, contributed, asked, challenged, and shared their journey. Thank you, Francois, and the Propulsion community for creating a space where professionals can learn, grow, and lift the standards of our beautiful profession. Let us enter the new year with discipline, courage, and purpose. Our clients need it, our profession deserves it, and our country benefits from it. Thank you, and I wish every one of you a strong finish to the year and a purposeful start to the next year. Thank you, Francois.
Thanks very much, Kobus, for everything this year as well. To all of the hosts of all of the segments this year, thank you very, very much. Righty, yes, Lena, it seems there's a theme for the episode which we didn't give anybody. I only talked to the guest, and then all the segment hosts come up with their own things. Everybody's sort of reflecting on the year that's passed. So I don't know. Here's Lena. Let's see what she does as well.
Good morning, everyone. I have been waiting all year for this moment. So it's our final Propulsion Live episode for 2025. Hopefully I didn't break something there. But if that doesn't deserve a little celebration, I don't know what does. So before we cheers on that, I just quickly have a few things that I want to say. I've actually been dreading this, I've been having so much fun this year. Looking forward to every single Friday morning with you guys. And so here it goes one last time for this year. Let's get straight into that. So before we say goodbye for the year, I just want to say something important. Thank you, and thank you truly. Thank you to every single person who tuned in every Friday, who commented, who cheered us on, who laughed with us, and who kept this community alive. We really do everything here for you, and we just want to thank you for showing up every single Friday to be here with us. And to all of our segment hosts and guests this year, you are the real magic of the show. And thank you so much for showing up with so much heart, wisdom, humor, and consistency. And you've made Fridays something to look forward to. And how can I forget a special thank you to my dad, Francois. for creating this little corner of the world where advisors, planners, and friends can come together every Friday. And thank you for holding the space, guiding the conversations, and building something that truly, really matters. You've truly built more than just a show, you've built a community. So to everyone that is watching, before I spill the bubbles, thank you for being part of the Propulsion family. Here's to milestones reached, challenges conquered, goals smashed, and plenty more coming next year. I'm wishing you a joyful, restful, happy holiday season, and be safe, eat well, laugh a lot, relax, and we'll see you again in the new year. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Before I cry, cheers everyone. We love you, and I'll see you next year. Bye.
Alright, so Zeyn is the Chief Operations Officer at Fairbairn Consult, where he focuses on building a space that helps advisors do their best work without carrying the full weight of regulation and admin and complexity on their own. He has a strong background in operational strategy, a people-first leadership style, and a passion for creating structures that support real growth. Since joining Fairbairn Consult, he has played a key role in shaping the systems. We spoke about that at one of the events as well, the processes, the tech, and all of that, and that all of the advisors rely on at this point. So Zeyn also holds an MBA, postgraduate qualification in financial planning, and a management program through WITS. And he did tell me before the show that he does something very different from what he was trained for. So good morning, Zeyn. Warm welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Francois. Always good to be here with you, and good morning to all the listeners and my fellow hosts as well.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's sorry, we're now sort of 2 minutes later than what we were supposed to start, but it's like everybody's obviously saying things today that they don't normally talk about. So I think everybody took a bit of extra time. But I'm excited for this conversation, Zeyn. One of the things that I value about the relationship that we have with all of you at Fairbairn Consult and the way that you run the business is that it's a very open relationship. We can talk to each other, and we can share things, and we can ask things, and we can challenge each other and all that kind of stuff. So that's one of the things that I value, that if we can have these kinds of conversations, that's really, really valuable. And today, as I said earlier, I just want to unpack from both sides, basically. So not only from usually we always talk just from a Fairbairn side, like, why would you want to look at that, etc. So I want to unpack some of that, but also look at, but what about the other side? When shouldn't I come to Fairbairn, or anyone like Fairbairn, for example? So I'm going to get straight into it. So when you look at what's going on at the moment right now, and we had conversations yesterday, I was at a year-end function as well yesterday, and it's like these things are top of mind for everybody. What signs show to you that a solo advisor, like the typical old one-man bands, I'm going to say old, the traditional one-man bands, one-woman bands kind of thing, that they might be reaching that point where working alone is starting to hold them back at this point in time?
Sure. Thanks, Francois. And I think that's a very important question. So the landscape is changing. And if we look at the first tangible thing to come out of COFI right now is omni-risk. And if you've attended some of the FSCA sessions this week and last week, I think some of their videos are posted on their YouTube channel. So I would give you, if you haven't had a listen to that, go and give that a squiz. If you look at the omni-risk report, it is a behemoth of a report that's required for advisors to now submit as it stands currently on a quarterly basis. And if your practice doesn't have those systems in place to kind of draw all that information in from different sources, put it, and then take that information and put it into a format that is very governed by the FSCA, which is their subtech system. So you're going to have to put it into their subtech system. And just a little note on the subtech system, it is a Microsoft Forms system. So there is no save button. And I don't want you to be halfway through that Omni risk report in the completion of it, and you haven't, and something bombs you out of the system, and then you're going to have to restart all over again. So I hope that's something that they fix. I know most of their systems currently at the FSCA is working off a Microsoft Form system. So I mean, yesterday I had to submit our CASP's feedback to the FSCA, and it bombed us out twice. So we had to start all over again. So these are the things that can frustrate an advisor. And once Omni CBR lands next year, then we're going to go into pilot stage on the subtech system, I think in H1 next year, and we're looking at rollout in Q3, Q4 next year. So that could put a lot of strain on a practice. And remember, you're submitting all of these forms and all of this time taken away, doing all of this stuff for absolutely zero return from an income perspective. So this is time away from you that you could be spending with your clients. So if you're not that savvy in this, and you don't want to be, because advising is your dominant is your primary focus in your practice, then I think joining a reputable network or FSP might be an option for you. Yeah. So that's just some of the stuff that, and of course, there's always the tech enablement, as most of us are surging ahead on the tech front. There's investment in tech in your own practice that you may not want to make, and you want to leave that decision making to the FSP or to the network that you're joining. So that takes away that headache. So those are the things that we are picking up in the landscape. That's going to start pushing advisors to start thinking differently about, should I go it alone or should I join a network?
Yeah, and I mean, on that note, sort of, Zeyn, what are the kind of questions that advisors should be asking themselves? So, because they often get to a point where they go like, I'm just need to push through this. It's like, do I do that? Or I mean, there's people who have made this move that I thought would never so-called give up their independence, and I'm not just talking from a product point of view, or that I can advise on whatever I want. I'm not talking about just that independence, right? There's independence of making choices and doing things the way I want to do it, and like there's lots of stuff that goes into it. But inevitably, a lot of them get to a point where they go like, should I just push through? Is this going to work for me? Is it not? But what are the kind of questions that they need to maybe ask themselves when they start feeling or thinking like that, in order to sort of start moving in a direction or moving closer to an answer to that?
Yeah, sure. Francois, I think the first question to ask is, what about independence still appeals to you as an advisor? So is it having 812 different product provider codes? That's something that appeals to you? Maybe then you need to find a network that allows for that. What are the deal breakers in those questions? So do you want to be managed? Do you not want to be managed? What does that feel like in your business? Do you want to be a part of a bigger community, or do you still want to go at it solo? Because don't downplay the importance of being part of a community. What you've created here is a community. And just looking at the comments in the chat, and the talks that I've attended and the sessions that I've attended, there's such a cool thing about being a part of a community. So that, I don't think ever downplay that, because community is absolutely important, especially with all the regulatory change that's coming our way. And make no mistake, we are going to be in a bit of a bumpy ride for the next 5 years, I would say, because COFI is just unpacking itself now. As I said, Omni Risk is the first tangible thing to come out of that. And I think an advisor ultimately has to ask themselves the question, do you want to still be your own boss? And what does that mean? If you join a network, do you still have autonomy over your practice? Because there are networks that provide you with that autonomy over your practice. So these are the questions that you need to ask. And then you need to sit down and divide between what are the deal breakers and what are the nice to haves. So the deal breakers, if in a network has got things that are absolute deal breakers for you, then don't go that route. But if they're nice to haves in your practice, maybe it's time to rethink that joining a larger community might have more benefit to you going forward than you possibly could imagine.
So I'm trying to sort of simplify this, right? So to say, I've thought about this quite a bit, Zeyn. So I guess you've got to be clear, because like, why did you go independent in the first place? Like, what was the thing that made you do that? Some people, that's how they started. Other people were tired and they decided that's not for them. They want to become independent. And as you say, like, there are different aspects on which one build their value proposition to their clients, right? And that's why, and often independence and the breadth of product is sort of still linked, unfortunately. But would it not? So, for example, I've got to decide, do I want to just be a financial advisor? And I say just that, I'm not downplaying the role. I'm just saying, do I just want to be that, or do I want to build a business? Because those two things, I think, is a very clear thing. Now, it's not, you can obviously do both. And I think if you do a business, you can absolutely be a financial advisor. I think it's very hard if you just want to be a financial advisor to also, sometimes build the business, because that's not really what you want to do. You really just created a job for yourself, and you want to look after clients, you want to care for people, you want to make a real difference in the lives and in the country. But ultimately, the fun has been sucked out of that, maybe on one level, or not even that. There is just so many things that you now have to do that you didn't want to do before. So that's that side of it. But if I said, well, I'm building a Fairbairn Consult, for example, like I'm building a business, right? Then it's just part of the game, right? So is it a mindset thing that could also help you decide on, whether you should or shouldn't? So is that one of the questions that one can ask yourself, or how do you view?
So yeah, that's there's trade-offs in this decision making. Okay, like any decision making that you're going to go through in your life, there's gonna be trade-offs. So if you want to build something that is huge and humongous, and you want to go at it alone, and you want to have this legacy that is you want to build another Fairbairn Consult, for example, then go ahead and do that. But understand that comes with its challenges, and if you're prepared for it, and it comes with a lot of investment, as you can imagine, and you need to have deep pockets, so then go ahead and build yourself one like that. But if you're an advisor sitting out there and you're saying, okay, we can do two things: we can give good advice, and we can build a business. I would take that further and say, are you building a business of value? That's important. Because if you join a network like such as ourselves, and there are other networks out there, if you join a network like Fairbairn Consult, then you are giving yourself the freedom to do what you're good at. That is giving good advice to your clients. So you don't have to make decisions around systems, CRM systems, beeswax, AML screening, dealing with the FSCA for complaints, so complaints management. All of that stuff gets taken care of by the network itself, and it allows you time to go and render good financial advice, categorize your clients into A, B, and C categories, whether they're into whatever practice management principles you want to adopt and use in your specific practice. It allows you to focus and build a business of value. Now, the second part of that, building a business of value, in a network, you are going to have a community. And as part of a community, you're going to have a community of buyers and sellers. So you're already in as part of a network. You've already built a brand within that network. You've already met your colleagues that belong in that network. That allows you to have to tap into a willing buyer base when you've built this business of value. So building a business of value can involve deep pockets. If you've got that, go and build it yourself. But if you don't, and you want to focus on the things that you're good at, which is giving great financial advice, you can build a business of value, a practice of value that can be saleable later. And if you're part of a larger community in a network, then you've got a network, a market space for willing buyers and sellers, which makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah. Zeyn, so you keep using the word network. Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit. Like, what does that really mean? So if you say, like, join a network, what does that mean? How is that different from like you have an FSP and you employ me as a financial advisor, or like I'm gathering from what you're saying that there's a difference between me being employed by you and me plugging into a network. Am I plugging into a network, or are we using words interchangeably that actually mean the same thing? So can you unpack that a little bit just for clarity?
Good question, Francois. And I think with us, you are not an employee of Fairbairn Consult. So I can't speak for the other arrangements out there, but I can speak for Fairbairn Consult. With us, you are definitely not an employee. You are a mandated agent, a mandated representative that works on a mandate. Now that allows you a few things. That means, as part of belonging to Fairbairn Consult, you retain your own brand and image. So we're not going to take that away. You've spent decades building this legacy and building this brand. We're not going to come in and gobble that up and say now that you know what, you're going to have to brand your office everything FC related. That just makes no sense. There is fiscal, so obviously there's phase requirements to say that you are a member of an approved mandate of Fairbairn Consultant. That's nice and small on your signature, but your brand remains intact. So we're basically an umbrella for IFAs, if you will. So an independent advisor wants to join us, take away all the hassles of compliance and regulation and systems and all of that stuff, and Omni CBR and COFI and all that stuff coming our way, takes all of that stuff away, keeps the box that they join us with. So they keep their brand, they keep their logos. And in a network like ours, because you're not an employee, you don't get managed. Nobody is ever calling you into a Monday morning meeting and saying, you need to write X amount of risk business, or why haven't you written X amount of your clients last week? None of that stuff happens. You stay as you are. Your box stays intact. You're just lifting and shifting home from one license into our license, and you remain the same. For us, your independence is super important, even though we can't use the word independent once you join a network like ours, because we have the majority shareholding is via a product provider. So it's a phase legislation that you can't use the word independent. So that's why we use the catch line of providing unbiased advice to your clients. So you join somebody like us, and I use the word network because you're not an employee and you're joining a bigger community. You're allowed to still keep your relationships intact. You still write business where you want to write business. We actually give you, we open you up to 100. We've got 122 different product provider codes that belong to our network. Everything from medical aid, medical gap, short-term gap, risk, investment, banking. We've even got a crypto license now. So we allow you to choose product providers that you want to sell and want to have a relationship with. So none of that changes. You keep your independence in inverted commas, so you don't get managed. We do not have any hidden terms and conditions in our. So you'll notice one of our values, and it's embedded in everything that we do. We are unashamedly, and I say this again, we are unashamedly an advisor-led business. So we're not a client-led business. We're an advisor-led business. And we take that because we believe that if we make life simple for our advisors, we provide them with the right tools, we provide them with the best CRM systems, we provide them with the best support, then that in turn will ripple down into the clients, and clients will have better experiences. So we are unashamedly an advisor-led business. So being part of a network, you get all of that benefit, and being part of our network, you get all of that benefit. And I think the big thing here for us is that you get supported and not managed. That's important. You get supported, so we support you, but we do not manage you. And I think that's been the appeal largely that's got us to grow at the rate that we've been growing, is that advisors join us and they realize very quickly, okay, I'm actually not losing my independence. I'm just shifting home, and I'm getting rid of a lot of the stuff that sits on the back of my head. It's now a Zeyn and a Guy problem. Things like the submissions to the FISCA, things like client complaints. So when we say we support you, if there's a client complaint, you don't deal with it. I do. That's a Zeyn problem. I deal with that. When there's systems that need to be built for the new Omni Risk, that's already something that I'm working on internally with our product providers and product suppliers. That's a Zeyn problem. Any regulation coming our way, we interpret it and we tell you how to embed that in your practice. So we support you. And that's a big difference between being supported and managed. We definitely do not manage anyone. We support you. It's a long-winded answer. I hope I've kind of answered your question, Francois.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant, Zeyn. So, and the one thing that just tongue in cheek here, if you're in Fairbairn, you always know a guy, you know, so that does work as well. But and it's quite interesting to hear, and I'm glad you unpacked it the way that you did, because I mean one of the questions I have is like, I mean, have you brought people into your network that it didn't work?
Absolutely.
And so I don't want names. I don't want facts. Well, I want facts, but you know, PROpulsion safe facts. But so you say yes, there was like that. What was the thing that both of you missed? Why did it not work? Like, what was that reason for in those instances? Because there's plenty of people who it works for, but the ones that didn't work, what were the things?
So, you know, being independent, a lot of guys, we've noticed that there's been some individuals, not all, some. And so we've had a handful. I can't say that this is a huge problem for us. It hasn't been a huge problem for us, but there's most certainly been, I can count them on one hand, the amount of people that we've had that we'd be like, this is not a right fit. Is we've had people that have come out, particularly from the banking space, that want to go independent, and it sounds all very sexy, and it sounds like, I'm going to go independent and I'm going to do my own thing, and they want to have a softer landing, so they join a network like ourselves, and they very quickly realize that sometimes you can become institutionalized, where you need management. And some people don't realize that you actually need management. And you need somebody to be over you all the time, and you get so used to that kind of style that to adapt to be, when you get to an office and there's nobody there telling you what to write, where to write, why aren't you writing, how many clients to see. There's nobody walking into your office and saying, here's the leads, this is how you're going to go about it, I got a big client, can you come and see a bank account? So we've noticed that in certain instances those things don't work. We've also noticed that where we try as best as possible to make our stance on certain types of products known before you join us. So we're quite clear that we don't like to attract large franchises that are predominantly aimed at the funeral benefit market solely. If you're selling funeral benefits as part of a holistic financial plan, that's a different conversation to be had. But there's a lot of practices that would like to join us, but they're predominantly focused on funeral plans, and it just doesn't work. We've tried it; it doesn't work. We're not geared for that kind of business. We don't want that kind of business. We think there's a need for it, but just not in our space. So yeah, we do have advisors that we've sat down with and we said, I don't think this is going to work. Some of you, maybe a banking environment might be best suited to your personality type. You gave it a shot, but I don't think this is going to work, and we don't want to see you fail. And we don't want to set anyone else up for failure. Also, because you're working independent and you're working on our license, we expect, and you don't get managed, and you get absolutely supported. We do expect that there's reciprocity here. And the only things we ask you to do, and we actually have this in our onboarding presentation, which I do, is have the right attitude, be kind to our staff and to your clients, do the right thing, and make compliance a part of your process. If you're going to see compliance as this other thing that you've got to do, I think find another place to be, because we're quite strict on that. In fact, we reward our advisors. Our annual incentive, our annual awards is all geared towards what we call the Extra Mile Club. And that is geared towards advice. There are no sales targets in there. So we look at your practice management. We look at the advice rendered. We look at whether there were any complaints coming through from any of your clients. We look at your advice process. You must have a documented advice process, which includes all of your forms that you require each step of the way. How are you interacting with your clients, all the way right through to review? So that's what we expect from you. And people come into our space and say, yeah, I can do that, and it's all in my head, but they can't document it. And we can see that, this is not going anywhere. It's going nowhere fast. Where you're taking compliance as a mere suggestion, then we will sit down and have that conversation with you, and we'll say, I think this is not going to work. We give you, obviously, we try and support you to try and remedy that. But if it's not something that you take seriously, then unfortunately we part ways at that particular point in time. There are other reasons, but I mean, these are the few top ones that I can think of. As I said, we haven't had many of these, but there are most certainly have been cases.
Yeah. I think that it's always very helpful to just think about it from that point of view, because this is also about what is important to you as the individual, and when you make these decisions, because you've got to start with yourself first and then understand why are you looking, why, are you getting to a point, are you fighting a losing battle, or is it a temporary thing that's going on at the moment? And I think that's also hard sometimes for people to do, because there are often things that you could do, but because you never have time to go and do it, you never do it. And then it feels like it's just this perpetuating problem. And then at some point you give up where it could have been an easy fix. And then there are other things, and it's interesting to me listening at the FBI convention to that panel discussion where we had Ryk van die Kerk and Maya Fisher-French and Justice Malala on. I don't know if you saw that. But this was the whole thing around, lots of stuff that's going on at the moment. And they were saying, we are overregulated. And, I think the regulators are very what are you talking about? We're not overregulating. So it's these very two different views on that, but surely on the ground we are feeling all of this stuff. And it's not only the complying, Zeyn. I think it's also I've got to learn this stuff now. I've got to learn about the omnibus. Look, my brain just blew when you said it's a Microsoft form. What? Wow. Give them my number. Okay, so we can sort them out. But it's crazy, but anyway, so I just want to be clear. I'm not fighting for either one. I think for me, what we try and do at Propulsion is that we want to lift the profession. We want to lift all boats. I don't really care where you sit. That's the first and foremost thing. We want to make it better for everyone, so we can have great lives, build great businesses, and do good things. Yeah. And then secondly, I want to try and keep the independent. And if they don't want to be independent, I want to find them the best home possible where they can go and live out their passion and their purpose. So that's really my thing. But Zeyn, I mean, yes, there's actually a lot of questions I still want to ask you. So probably one that we can maybe sort of end off with is the whole thing around the inverted commas independence. Because a lot of people, I've had lots of conversations these last 2 weeks, funny enough, and they often ask me, or their statements would be that, but so as you mentioned, definition-wise, you can't say that you're independent. Yeah. How do you ensure, what does it look like when you are part of a business that's owned by a big other business, by a product provider, whatever, but you are truly allowed to do whatever you want to do, work with who you want to work. There's no yeah, man, but you should look at this, and yeah, man, but you should look at this, that kind of stuff, that emotional, moral pressure that's been put on people sometimes. Yeah. Just talk a little bit about that, because I think that's also a real thing that people struggle with.
So fortunately, we've got 200 case studies that I can draw from in terms of advisors that have joined us. often get calls, probably, and Guy, we probably get calls from our advisors that have just joined us maybe a month or two into joining the Fairbairn Consult Network or RFA. And the comment is always similar. You guys really don't manage anyone, is the one thing. And two, there's no pressure to write business or place business with any particular product provider. We've always been very upfront and straightforward about that. That is why we don't even have our own DFM, because we do not want to participate in that space, because there's going to be a point where we will sit down and decide, okay, we're actually making some money off this DFM. So we will then either very, tactfully try and steer people in there, or just adopt a sledgehammer style and get you to transfer all your funds into our DFM. So we've made those decisions in our business, and we will stand by those decisions. We've been very fair with all of our product providers, that we do not hand out our advisors' numbers. There's ways and means that you will be allowed to actually present to them, and we make that across the board. It doesn't matter that we've got a shareholder that's majority shareholder, that's a product provider. We've taken the stance that we want to keep our business transparent, simple, and we want to be the umbrella for IFAs that are working out there. So those we don't have hidden terms and conditions on our side. Other important thing, when advisors, and my advice to you, and we've seen this too many times, when advisors want to join a network or are thinking about it, read the contract, and then read the contract. Make sure that those contracts don't have any restraint of trades, and make sure that those contracts are clear, that if you had to leave the network for whatever reason, that you can take your clients, and that those clients are truly your clients, that you can take those clients and exit. You'll be amazed at how many guys that want to, and girls that actually want to join our network. But when they look at it, when we say to them, have a look at your contract and see if that's possible, and they quickly realize, oh no, I've been tied into a restraint of trade, I can't take my clients with. We've seen absolutely horrific stuff taking place out there. So, as I said, we be transparent. We have none of that. If you want to leave, we actually help you exit your clients. We give you 3 months. We write friendly letters to your clients, wishing you all the best. And because we're not a client acquisition business. We like you, and I think that's why we've partnered with Propulsion. We aligned that we want to be a safe place for independent financial advisors, either working paka independent solo on your own, but we've provided an environment that you can still be that and still maintain all of that. You just work under our license, and you don't have to worry about a whole bunch of stuff that's compliance and reg related, and people trying to steal your clients or to wrap you up in fancy and complicated restraint of trades.
Zeyn, thank you very much. It went so quick. We are 3 minutes over time. So it was a good discussion. Thank you so much. If anybody wants to follow Zeyn or get in touch with Zeyn, LinkedIn is the easiest. I can also put you in touch. Ben can put you in touch, and whoever wants to talk to him if you wanted to. But definitely follow Zeyn on LinkedIn. And then Zeyn, thank you very much for joining us and for the good work that you guys are doing. I do believe that you are one of the good guys. There's a few good guys out there, and you are for sure. Fairbairn is one of those. So thank you very much. And I'll leave the last word to you.
Thank you, Francois. And I think it's been an absolute privilege for me getting to know you a lot better this year and what you're doing for the industry. And I said this to you at our conference where you presented at our particular conference, that we truly are grateful for people like you in the industry. Yourself, even Quibus. His words were so. I just made a note of what Quibus said. He said, invest in yourself as an advisor. And that's super important. I've been a financial planner, so I understand the pains. This can be a lonely job, can be a lonely world. And it's nice to know that we've got people like yourself, Quibus, what we're trying to do at Fairbairn Consult, that we want people to feel part of a community. And thank you for creating that, Francois. It's super, super important in a world where so much a change and can feel overwhelming, that there's a quiet space that people can gather and say, hey, actually, we're okay and we feel supported. So thank you, and I wish all of the listeners all of the very best over the holidays. Take care, travel safe, and put your family first. This is your time now. Relax, unwind, and enjoy this time off.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Zeyn.
Thanks.
Alrighty, so that's it. Season 6 done and dusted, wrapped up. Thank you very much for an incredible year. To all of the segment hosts, thank you so much for all of your contributions. You do this from the love of your heart, and we really appreciate that. Also for all the guests we had this year, for everybody, each one of you who showed up every single week, and whether you're watching the recording or you were here live, we really appreciate that. It really means a lot to us. So we will be back in 2026 with season 7, probably in February, early February, but do keep an eye on our socials and everything. We will be communicating that. So yeah, looking forward to see what we have up our sleeves for next year. But thank you so much. If you've got any suggestions, ideas, anything like that, please send it to us. And then until we see each other again, stay safe, be blessed and prosper, and continue to raise the bar. And very importantly, stay curious. Have a good rest, and we love you all very much. Thank you very much.